let's talk about the title of this show, which is not necessarily quarterback related, but it is Kyle Shanahan related. He had a very interesting take when it came to his roster building. So here's what he said. He said, this was with Peter King, by the way. He said, that's kind of been the view of how I build a team for me forever, hoping you can always have a quarterback. Hoping, keyword, as if he doesn't have any play into that, but I'll keep going. But if you can build that defense that way and play the right way, you do have a chance. He then went on to bring up teams like the Ravens with Trent Dilfer and the Bucks with Brad Johnson as talking points and possibly how he's looking to build his team. What are your thoughts about his roster building conversation?
For everybody that says Kyle Shanahan isn't aware of who he is, this is the statement that I could read into that he knows exactly who he is. And what I mean by that is he knows his strengths, he knows his weaknesses, and one of his biggest weaknesses, and something that I've never debated anybody, is his QB evaluation, right? He doesn't know how to get the right QB in here. He doesn't know how to evaluate QBs through the draft. I think he could get the best out of a quarterback because of the way he runs his system and the way he schemes people open. But I don't think he knows how to identify that elite quarterback. And because that's not your strength, the only other way to win a Super Bowl without an extremely elite QB is to have a very efficient quarterback, an offense that could put up enough points to win, but an insane defense that is always going to keep you in the game. And I think that was the realest thing Kyle Shanahan ever said, because I think that's the only way he could win a Super Bowl unless a franchise level quarterback just falls in his lap. And unfortunately, the chances that he did have to get that, he was beat out by, the Rams when it came to Matt Stafford, or, Green Bay didn't give it up when Aaron Rodgers possibly was available. So
Yeah.
to
Chose
me,
Jimmy Garoppolo over Tom Brady, didn't scout
right.
Patrick Mahomes, that type of stuff. Yeah. Not his fault at all.
No, but I am giving it that fault. I'm saying that he's terrible at that stuff, right? And not everybody's going to be good at everything. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
He's elite.
And there is a lot that he's great about. That's the thing with Shanahan. And people, I do have to be clear about that. There is so much that Shanahan is good at. So much. Unfortunately for him, in my opinion, he is not good at developing or figuring out who good quarterbacks are necessarily in this league before they become good. And because quarterback is the most important position in football, that can always hold him back from really winning a Super Bowl. But he'll always be competitive because he is such a good coach.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. If he could just have somebody like Andy Reid just choose a quarterback for him, I think I think that Kyle Shanahan would be a Super Bowl winning coach at this point. He really should give all of that power of who the starting quarterback should be to somebody else, because whether or not he could develop a quarterback, I think is debatable, because it's like, what do you consider developing? I personally think that Kyle Shanahan has gotten the best out of every quarterback that has ever played under him. I've never seen a quarterback that's played under him that's gone somewhere else and looked better. So to me, it's like, is that developing? Is that not? I don't know. At the end of the day, you want to get the most out of your quarterback position. I think that's what should be, that's what should be focused on. How the developing thing, it depends on how you define that. But to me, his getting the right person in is where, I think we both agree he's just not good at.
Yeah, most definitely. 49ers Throwback says, this guy gets it, Jesse. This was my quote when I posted the video on Nick Wright. Thanks for your shows. No, 49ers Throwback. Thank you for watching the show and supporting the show the way you always have. Brother Bob says, what's up, Nails? So Neil's back on my good side now. Laugh out loud. All right. I didn't know he was on your bad side. That's too bad. But you're back. You can go to the family cookouts with
That's
Brother
it, man.
Bob
Hey,
again.
I could sleep. I could sleep well again, my
Yeah.
guy. Thank you so much for giving me back the pass.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have to say this. His comments by themselves, the quote by itself, was not really all that damning to me. Like you have to choose a lane and how to build a roster. Where he really messed up to me was bringing up two teams that are the rare exception to winning Super Bowls, and two teams that won 20 plus years ago. One of them in the Ravens is arguably the best defense of all time, if not their top three best defenses of all time. So unless you can, he's basically saying, "Oh, I can go duplicate a top three defense of all time before I can go get a quarterback." That's where his head's at. Like that's a little
I agree with
strange.
him too.
And yeah, he might be right. And then the other one, the Bucks, yes, they did win the Super Bowl, but that was crazy circumstances. One, very, very good defense, not near as good as the Ravens, but still very good. But they also happened to play a Raiders team in the Super Bowl that they literally knew the play calls, audibles, and everything. They knew exactly what was coming all game long. That was a very unique, strange situation. So we're talking about two anomalies when it comes to winning. Really, he can be competitive. And I know that having an elite quarterback does not guarantee winning. Every time I have this conversation, people are like, well, how come Josh Allen doesn't have a Super Bowl? But if you want to be in the conversation of actually competing, you probably most likely need to have that dude at quarterback. You need to have it so much so that most Super Bowls are won by elite quarterbacks, Hall of Fame caliber quarterbacks. So what is it? 43 out of 57 Super Bowls won by a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback. And that's me not even including Stafford. I don't think Stafford's a Hall of Famer. So yeah, just to be in the conversation, for the most part, you do need a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback. The other stuff is the exception, not the rule. So yes, the 49ers are going to remain competitive. Maybe Brock Purdy can do things like Nick Foles or Joe Flacco did, where they aren't elite quarterbacks, but they played elite for a Super Bowl run. I think that is more likely to happen than you winning with a Trent Dilfer type and having the best defense of all time. Like that's just me personally. I think Brock Purdy getting hot, or any quarterback on this roster that is playing getting hot for a 3-week time span, is more likely to you winning than the other way. And I don't know that that's likely either. So we'll see how this thing plays out. But his philosophy on roster building for being an offensive guy known as an offensive genius, a little bit questionable. It just is. But then, the flip side too, Sunil, is that as a head coach, he's constantly evaluated for just the offense. I'll give you an example. Last year when they were scoring 18 points a game, people were flipping out on Kyle Shanahan. Oh, I thought you were a genius. Why can't you score more than 18? But the defense was legit. He's the head coach of the team. So the defense being good does reflect on him, does it not? Like he's more than just the play caller. He is the head coach of the team. So I think he gets less credit than what he deserves in certain areas. And I think he gets more credit than what he deserves in certain areas.